Hey, do you guys struggle in how to utilize your bullpen in the Show 21? Well, lucky for you guys, I got the perfect coaching guide that will avoid you guys from giving up runs, putting in the right pitchers, and not only that, have a perfect coaching strategy that will allow you to be dominant in the pitching game. I'll see you guys in a second. YouTube, what's going on, guys? Mike Swingman here, giving you guys another video. In today's video, we are going to talk about how to manage your bullpen. Okay, this is the big thing, big part of big question part of the MLB The Show community. I get so many of this. I get this question so many times in my chat on, which pitcher to go with, why do you go with this pitcher in this situation and so forth. But before we really dive into that, I want you guys to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit those bell notifications button. We're on a goal to try to get to 300 subscribers. We're at 284 right now, as I'm recording this video. But I really appreciate it, guys. It helps the channel out. We're trying to get to 300. And if you guys want to be notified for my future content, that's how you do it. But with that being said, let's dive right into how to manage a bullpen. All right, guys, so I got 3 key steps in regards to how to create the perfect, how to manage the perfect bullpen. And I know when it comes to managing the bullpen, a lot of questions come up, man. It's like, okay, well, I feel like when I put this guy in, he gives up a lot of runs. If I put that guy in, he's lights out. There's always a gray area in how to manage a perfect bullpen. And I'm not saying that you're going to be perfect at this in the game, but I'm trying to show you, I'm going to show you the most efficient, how to be the most efficient and how to be the most successful in how to manage a bullpen, okay? So we're going to have 3 steps, okay? The first step that we're going to talk about is have a balanced bullpen, okay? So when we talk about having a balanced bullpen, you got to make sure that you have both righties and lefties in your bullpen. So if I come here to my squad, what you will always notice is that I will always have a righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, and so forth. I have like Josh Hader there, left-handed pitcher. You got Goose Gossage, and then you got Mariano. But if you ever notice, I will always have a balanced pen. Okay, so righty, lefty, righty, lefty. Okay, you don't want it to be dominant in the right-handed pitching game, because if your opponent sees that and he says, he sees that, okay, this guy has nothing but righties, I'm just going to put in nothing but lefties, like lefty hitters, to dominate these righty pitchers. So really key point. And when it comes to having these pitchers, okay, but before I dive into that, but real key point is you got to make sure you have a balanced pen. Okay, just so that you keep the opponent on his toes and that he cannot give you a dominating side to counteract your side. Okay, so if you keep it well balanced, you will always have a lefty on lefty matchup or a righty on righty. You don't want to be in a matchup where all you're doing is the opposite sides facing, because it's a lot easier facing opposite sides, when it comes to pitching and hitting, than the same side. Okay, just want to let you guys know. All right, but when we dive into this, when you do relievers, I recommend personally that they have a hit per 9 and K per 9 of over 95. Okay, they have to. The reason why that you want to have a K per 9 and hit per 9 over 95 is because the hit per 9 is obviously how big your PCI is as a hitter, but the K per 9 is also how you can get those edge shots, those painted black, strikes from the umpire. You'll get strike calls more, and the more hit per 9 and K per 9 you have, the more opportunities you're going to have with that. So that's what I also recommend in regards to getting pitchers, or relief pitchers at least. When it comes to starters, when we go to Cliff Lee, when he has a 92 hit per 9, that's not too bad. That's pretty decent, but he has a good K per 9, which kind of balances it out. But you always want to have a good hit per 9, because the hit per 9 shows how big your PCI is for your opponent. Okay, the higher the hit per 9, the smaller the PCI. Always remember that. Okay, so the next thing in the final piece for the balanced bullpen is make sure you love using these guys. Don't just get a reliever just because, okay, this guy works for me, he's great. Magunsky uses him, Kooks uses him, some other streamer uses him. Use the guys that you like to use. Okay, when you do that, you're going to have a lightning pen. Okay, it's chemistry, not just, having a good bullpen. Okay, use the guys that you like to use. Okay, all right, so that's it for step 1. Let's go to step 2. All right, step 2 on how to manage the perfect bullpen. And this is something that a lot of players really don't know. And a lot of players, I would say average to low players don't know this. But know your opponent's strength in the lineup. This is huge, crucial. Okay? And what do I mean by that? Know your opponent's lineup. Know what he's going with. Is he balanced? Is he all righties? Is he all lefties? Know the lineup. Okay? Because if you know the lineup, you'll know exactly how to attack it. So, if he has all righties, boom, you throw 3 batters. Okay, I bring in a right-handed pitcher. Dude, you dominated him the entire game. And vice versa with lefties. But the question that you got to ask is, and it goes back to what I just said, is does your opponent have a one-sided lineup? Okay, do they have just righties or just lefties? Or are they balanced? Are they like righty-lefty, or switch? Okay, analyze what your opponent has. Okay, when you do that, you give yourself an opportunity and hope of a plan to counteract his lineup. Okay, so always remember that. But the second question you gotta ask yourself is, does your opponent struggle against a particular sided pitcher? Okay, this is something that I kind of realized when I started getting good at this game, especially playing top 50 guys. Some top 50 guys struggle against left-handed sinker ballers or right-handed cutters. So really try to analyze, and that's why I highly recommend you guys go into my tipping pitches video, or not, and also take a look at that to show what, when it comes to the pitching analysis piece of it and the hitter's analysis piece of it, on what your opponent does good at the plate. Does he like fastballs high and in, or fastballs low and away, or cutters low and away, and vice versa? It goes both ways. But you're really trying to understand where, what pitch and what particular location they love hitting. Okay, and when you understand that, you know exactly how to counteract that and bring in the right pitcher from the pen to get the job done, to give you a goose egg. Okay. All right. So the last and final question is, what pitches does it? Well, it goes back to question 2, but what pitches does your opponent struggle with? Hey, man, I gotta say this: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if you got a guy that's sitting there in the plate struggling on sinkers high and in, paint him, keep dotting him up and in of a sinker ball. Keep throwing that sinker high and in, and just mix it up every now and then. But if you are rolling, okay, and that guy is struggling, keep doing what you're doing. And then maybe an occasional pitch or two, mix it up. Make him be on his toes. Make him guess. Okay? You don't want to be the guy that just always throws the same thing. I get it. But you also don't want to be the guy where you throw a high-end sinker, he's late, and all of a sudden you throw a slider inside and then he hits a home run because you sped up his bat. Okay? So always think this: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay? If he's struggling with a high-end sinker, throw the high-end sinker until he proves that he can hit it. Okay? All right? That's the big point on learning how to understand your opponent's strength in the lineup. Okay? Understand that stuff. Okay? You want to know, okay, does he have a one-sided lineup? Does he struggle on a particular sided pitcher, when it comes to either facing a left-handed pitcher or a right-handed pitcher? And what pitches does your opponent struggle with? Is it a sinker? Is it a slurve? Is it a curve? Cutter, changeup, and so forth. Okay, if you ask yourselves those quick questions and you get those and you answer those and you know how to do that and you know how to counteract that, your opponent's strengths, dude, lightning is on your side, man. You're gonna be able to dot pitches and you're gonna make your opponent look foolish on the mound. Okay, so that's step 2. Let's go ahead and go into step 3. All right, step 3, or key point 3, that we go into to manage the bullpen is have a strategy ahead of the game. Be ahead of the game by having a strategy. There's so many times where guys are in the game and they're just not thinking. And I'm not saying I haven't. I've been a victim to it too. There'll be many times where I'm thinking of hitting and then all of a sudden my hitting doesn't come through and I got no one warming up in the pen. And that's what I'm telling you guys. Always have a strategy ahead of the game. Always plan things out. Okay, if you're in the 7th inning and you're up 4-5 or 4-2, get ready to close the game with your best closer. Okay, bring him in the ninth and closing the game. Just want to let you know. But the question that, one of the things that I got to tell you is know your situation so that if it happens, you're prepared. Okay, so there's many times where I'll be in the game and all of a sudden, sometimes for instance, I would forget to warm up a pitcher, but let's say I got a runner on first and I didn't get a ground ball, I get a fly ball, or I get a shot in the gap. I need to know where to throw that pitch, or I need to know where to throw the ball. Do I go home? Do I go third? Do I go that? Always plan things out. And if your pitcher is struggling and he starts to kind of get into his he's starting to get anxious and he's starting to get, his confidence goes low. You got to have a backup. You got to have a guy in the pen ready to go just in case if he hits the fan, you got a guy to come in to save him. Okay. Many times I'll have Reyes throwing. If Reyes was struggling on the mound, I'll have Dibble or Hader going in the pen ready to go so that if once Alex has thrown to his 3 hitters, I can bring in a Dibble or Hader. So really know your situation, okay? And not only with know your situation, you got bases loaded, you got left-handed batter up, pretty simple. You could substitute pitchers. You bring in a lefty. You bring in a lefty to counteract his lefty. Okay, so know your situation. Know what pitcher you can bring in to get outs or to get strikeouts or, in general to be effective. Okay? All right, the next point that I would like to say is when you have a plan, you have hope. And when I say that is that when you plan, you have hope and you'll feel that. Many times guys will just not plan and then they're just going to be like, oh man, this is it. This is done. I'm done. This is it. When you have a plan, you have hope. Okay, you want to plan your pen. You always want to use your pen. Let's say Jacob deGrom here is absolutely electrifying through 8 innings and has given up 0 runs. I'm not going to go in and basically take him out unless his energy is really low and he's out of energy. If he's not out of energy, I'm keeping him in. I'm making him go the full 9 so that I could save these guys. Because if I could save these guys, that's huge. Okay? You don't want to be using your pen a lot. Okay? You actually want your starters to give you at least 6 innings to 7 innings of work. 6 innings to be the least, or 5. But you want to have 6. Okay? If you give 6, your pen has a shot of recuperating and being good. Okay? But, and here comes the last point. And you got to make sure that this is something that you like, but you got to pitch the guys you dominate with, man. You just got to. Okay, don't pitch the guys that because good players use them that you're like, okay, I got to use them. If you don't dominate with that pitcher, don't use them. You want to use the guys that you dominate with, the guys that you can put in and be like Nolan Ryan and just shove. Okay, you don't want to put guys in that you're kind of like, oh man, he sucks, but supposedly these guys are saying that he's good. I'm going to try him out. Put the guys that you dominate with. And you put the guys that you dominate with, I'm promising you, your confidence is high. And not only that, you're going to shove because you know how to throw with your dominating pitcher. Okay? There's many times where I tried out Soto the other day, and Soto absolutely, he hit the fan. He didn't do good. He didn't do well. I mean, you could see in the stats right here that I'm at 1,800 with him right now for 1 inning. Now, that's just 1 inning. Just 1 game, too. So I'm going to give him another shot. But I'm just saying, if you don't dominate with a guy like my Dennis Eckersley, I do really well with Dennis. His ERA is not too great, but hey, I love using this card. I feel like every time I use Dennis, he does me a solid. Especially with Goose. Goose Gossage, one of my perfect examples. He is literally my favorite card to use out of the pen. Every time I bring Goose out, I am electrifying. If you look at my batting average with righties with Goose, he is absolutely dominant. 0.098. 0.098 with righties against Goose. He is dominant. So that's the thing that I want you guys to do. Use the guys that you dominate with. Okay? All right, so going back to it, we want to know your situation before it happens so you're prepared. 2, we want to, if we have a plan, we have hope. So plan ahead so that you have hope to how to counteract your struggles. And then the 3rd one is pitch the guys that you dominate with. You do that, you cannot lose. So that is it for today's video. We had the 3 points for managing a perfect bullpen. We had to make a balanced bullpen, know your opponent's strength in the lineup, and have a strategy ahead of the game. Okay, you do those 3 guys, I promise you, you will be better. I'm not saying you're going to be top 50 material if you're an average guy or low or below average, but your game is going to be better in how to use your bullpen. Okay, all right, but if you guys really enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notifications button. Also, comment in the comment section below on what you guys think you should do to manage a perfect bullpen. I would really appreciate it, and so would the community of the MLB. But with that being said, I wish you guys nothing but perfects and good pinpoint pitching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. You guys take care, and I'll see you soon.